peace, y'all. Welcome to another day. We are reading UCC codes, the UCC Connection, how to free yourself from legal tyranny. Today is day 3 of this. We are starting on page 37. Yesterday we went over so yesterday we went over the courtroom techniques, questions and answers, how to conduct yourself with the police officers. We talked about the UCC 1-308 common law. We talked about the constitutional republic and how that was set up in the legislative democracy versus the constitutional republic and all those things of that nature. And we went over day 8, day 7 and day 8 in the Brandon Joe Williams. We did both of those days because the first video was only like 10 minutes and then the second Joan was like an hour. So we did that Joan. So now we are doing section 39, the social security problem. So I'm gonna read it again. We're starting on page 37. If I were a young man, 18 to 20 years old, and just started out in my first job, I would not want Social Security. Along with my signature on the application, I would write without prejudice UCC 1-308 to reserve my common law rights. But why wouldn't I want my Social Security today? I got into Social Security system in the 1930s and I paid into dollars that had a good purchasing power. Now I'm getting a promised return in Federal Reserve notes, which have considerably less value. For example, in 1940, you could buy a deluxe Chevrolet automobile for $800. With today's Federal Reserve notes, that won't buy the rear fenders in a truck in a new Chevy. If I were a young man, I would not want to put the Federal Reserve notes into SS now and get back something later, like German mark after World War I, when it took 1 billion marks to buy a loaf of bread. They will give you every Federal Reserve note back they promised you, but it might not buy anything. Section 40, which is assurance of performance. Under the UCC, you have the right in any agreement to demand a guarantee of performance. So don't go to them and say, I want to rescind my SSN or I refuse to take it. Just go easy and say, I would be happy to get a Social Security number and enter it into this contract, but I have a little problem. How can I have assurance before I enter this contract that the purchasing power of the Federal Reserve note I get back at the end of the contract will be as good as the ones that I pay in the beginning? They can't guarantee that, and you have a right under the UCC to assurance of performance of the contract. So tell them, well, I cannot enter this contract unless the government will guarantee to pay me at the end of the contract with the same value, Federal Reserve notes that I'm paying in. Both may be called Federal Reserve notes, but you know that these Federal Reserve notes don't hold their value. I want assurance on this contract that the Federal Reserve notes that I get in my retirement will buy as much as the ones I'm giving you now in my working years. They can't just make that guarantee. If they won't give you that guarantee, just say, I'd be glad to sign this, but if you can't guarantee performance under the contract, I'm afraid I cannot enter the contract. Now, did you refuse or did they refuse? You can get the sections of the UCC which grant the right to assurance that the contract you have entered will be properly fulfilled, that the return will equal the investment, or you can reject the contract using the code. Using their own system of law, you can show that they cannot make you get into contract of that nature. Just approach them innocently like a lamb. It is very important to be gentle and humble in all dealings with the government or the courts. Never raise your voice or show anger. In the courtroom, always be polite and build the judge up. Call him your honor. Give him all the honor that he actually deserves. He didn't rise to his position by standing on his thumb. It does no good to be difficult, but rather be cooperative and ask questions in a way that leads the judge to say the things that you need to have on record. Oh yeah, we talked about that last night too. When you get like a summons, ask to go to like, hold on, let me see what it was called specifically. It was a specific name about going to like a court on record or something like that, instead of just taking the ticket and then going into the courtroom on some regular shit. Because when you go to the when you go into this specific spot, what you're gonna do is when they ask if you understand or whatever, then you be like, I just need some clarity on some things, and then you can, bring they had like a whole little mock trial thing where they had the police officer on the stand and asking him questions. And remember, you did all of this before saying you understood it, so you didn't understand anything, and everything is on record. But doing that instead of like the regular courtroom that we be getting summoned into and stuff. No, it's called like court on record or something specific, like straightforward like that. But thank you. I just forget what it's called. Anyway, the court reporter comes to me at a random moment. In many courts, there will be a regular court reporter. He gets his job at the judge's pleasure, so he doesn't want to displease the judge. The court reporter is sworn to give an accurate transcript of every word that is spoken in the courtroom. But if the judge makes a slip of the tongue, he might turn his reporter and say, I think you better leave that out of the transcript. Just say it got a little too far ahead of you. You couldn't quite get everything in. So this will be missing from the transcript. In one case, we brought a licensed court reporter with us, and the judge got very angry and said, the court has a licensed court reporter right here, and the record of this court is this court's reporter's record. No other court reporter's record means anything in this court. We responded with, of course, Your Honor. We're certainly glad to use your regular court reporter, but Your Honor, sometimes things move so fast that a court reporter gets a little behind and doesn't quite keep up with it all. Wouldn't it be nice if we had another licensed court reporter in the courtroom, just in case your court reporter got a little behind, so that we could fill in from this other court reporter's data? I'm sure, Your Honor, that you would want an accurate transcript. I like to use the saying, give a bad dog a good name and he'll live up to it. The judge went along with it, and from that moment on, he was very careful of what he said. These are little tricks to getting around in court. This is how to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove when we enter a courtroom. There are others using the same information presented here who ended up in jail, handcuffed and hit over the head because they had approached the situation with a chip on their shoulder. They try to tell the judge what the law is and that he's a no good scoundrel and so on, just to be harmless and wise. Section 42, UCC 1-308 Review. It is so important to know and understand the meaning of without prejudice UCC 1-308 in connection with your signature that we will go over this once more. It is very likely that a judge will ask you what this means, so please learn to understand this carefully. The use of without prejudice UCC 1-308 in connection with my signature indicates that I have reversed my common law right not to be compelled to perform under any contract that I did not enter into knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally. And I do not accept the liability associated with the compelled benefit of any unrevealed contract or commercial agreement. Once you state this is all the judge needs to hear. Under common law, both parties must enter into a contract knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally, or it can be declared unenforceable and void. You are claiming the right not to be compelled to perform under any contract that you did not enter into knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally. And you do not accept the liability associated with the compelled benefit of any unrevealed contract or agreement. The compelled benefit is the privilege to use Federal Reserve notes to discharge your debts with limited liability rather than pay your debts with silver or gold coins. It is a compelled benefit because there are no silver or gold coins in circulation. You have to eat, and you can only buy food with a medium of exchange provided by the government. You are not allowed to print your own money, so you are compelled to use theirs. This is the compelled benefit of an undisclosed commercial agreement. If you have not made a valid, timely, and explicit reservation of your rights under UCC 1-308, and you exercise the benefit of using paper non-federal Federal Reserve notes offered by the government, you will be obligated under an implied agreement to obey every statute, ordinance, and regulation passed by government at all levels, federal, local, and state. That's why I be telling y'all, these fucking spiritualists that be on the internet all day, money, 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 they are false prophets. Because when you learn about the shit, and especially when you read about the Bible, they was in there talking about the banks and the governments and shit like that. Then we had activists since back then. Niggas still don't fucking listen. Anyway, conclusion. The editor of this transcript has great liberties in putting this to paper in an effort to make it readable and somewhat compact. He wishes to offer his gratitude to Howard Freeman for the opportunity to work with information so absolutely vital to our survival as dignified, unenslaved human beings. He must also ask Mr. Freeman's forgiveness for any errors committed in getting to this point. Its purpose, as stated in the foreword, is to make this knowledge and wisdom available to as many people as will take the time to read it. This is meant to be supplemental to Mr. Freeman's recorded lectures, not a substitute. Indeed, there is no substitute for hearing him present this material in his own words. It is not just the law and the facts that are important here, but the way they are used. His numerous reminders of Jesus' commission to be like sheep amongst wolves cannot be overstated, and is certainly good advice to us in all dealings, not just in court or with the government. Hear him explain this in his own words brings life to the practical application and usefulness of being harmless and wise. In fact, after being introduced to this approach, it becomes difficult to imagine that any other way of defending oneself from the government would be effective. Having said that, I feel obliged to point out that the one of the most difficult aspects of dealing with a licensed attorney, even a good one, may be knowing whose side he is on. After all, he is an officer of the court. So, for those of us who have concluded that having an attorney means that you will soon be chained, gagged, and led to the gallows, this information may be indispensable. For the extraordinary challenges of appearing in court in one's own person, pro per, there are a few reliable sources of information. Learning to defend ourselves, that is, being responsible instead of turning one more area of our lives over to professionals, may be the only way to have any chance of digging ourselves out of legal tyranny. Perhaps the greatest problem we face in education today is a matter of widespread legal illiteracy. Naturally, there will always be a number of people who just don't care about these issues, who either one, have a soft life supported and maintained by the secret system of institutions and law which has grown up around us. I can make a bundle buying these IRS seized homes cheap and reselling them. Two, don't believe that anything can be done about it. You can't fight City Hall. Three, don't have the energy or inclination to do anything about it. That's nice, but let's see what's on TV. For those good citizens, this whole effort may seem useless or even threatening, but it is this writer's view that God did not intend for us to spend our lives in statutory slavery for the benefit of a handful of secret world manipulators, even if the masters grant us some token of diversion and pleasure. Human dignity, human dignity requires much more than entertainment. The door is there and the key exists. We must find it and we must use it to return to freedom. Let us discover the mistakes we have made. Let us find the truth. Let us apply it with meekness and wisdom, and let us gently but firmly reclaim the precious liberty and freedom which we have so foolishly given up. Well, there you have it, the UCC Connection. There's also a list of other publications available from the Common Law Grand Jury website, nationallibertyalliance.org. If you found this information useful, I recommend contacting us for a list of materials. We hope we didn't put all this effort only for someone to say, yeah, that's on the internet. We tried to find stuff like this for some time now, and other than John Freeman's articles, we found none. Also, we like the author's approach here. Many of the so-called patriot organizations seem to be more profiteers than patriots. We understand that that bills need to be paid, but after reading lists and lists of products available for money, we see this pamphlet as a little different. Good luck and God bless. I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. I like that. Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. And a few more quotes. When even one American who has done nothing wrong is forced by fear to shut his mind and close his mouth, then all Americans are in peril. That was President Harry Truman. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, brave, hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, however, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark Twain. Truth is less than truth until it is made known. John Wheeler. All right, here goes special stuff you should know. Taking your birth certificate to court. The courts only want to charge some bogus bonds to your federal account, and they need your bond or permission to do the discharge. Otherwise, you must pay a fine and go to jail. But they neglected to tell us that the birth certificate is the bond, and the birth certificate is proof that we are beneficiary and not the trustee of our strawman trust account. The state is the trustee. Everything, including crime and taxes, is already prepaid through that birth certificate bond. In every case so far, the charges were settled and they let the fellow go without record of crime by surrendering the birth certificate. Further, the birth certificate proves that you are the beneficiary of your strawman estate. The prosecutor is claiming that he represents the beneficiary, which is the state, when the state is really supposed to be the trustee. So when you bring the birth certificate into court, you discharge all the charges against you, and you prove that you are the beneficiary of your trust estate. and this completely shuts down the prosecutor's. Yeah, the prosecutor now has no standing. You bringing the birth certificate proves that he has brought fraud into the court by claiming to be the beneficiary instead of you. Only the beneficiary, you, can be the plaintiff, and only the trustee, the state, can be the defendant. I do not give legal advice, but this is what I would do if I were in your shoes. 1. How to proceed. Take a certified copy of your birth certificate, which is certified by the state, to court with you. So, I did that part already. That's getting a birth certificate certified. What you do is, if you don't have your certificate of live birth or your long birth certificate, you can go to vital statistics in the town you were born or in the state capital you were born. I personally went to the state capital because me and my 2 kids are born in different cities. And one of my sons, the hospital he was born in no longer exists. I don't even think the hospital I was born in exists anymore either. So it was easier to go to the state. Once we went to the state, we walked like 2 blocks back and forth because I got lost. And,
that was a long trip, and we basically got our steps in on both of our meters because at the time, what was it? Hogwarts Go was still here.
Oh yeah, we was catching monsters, so we made a thing out of it. Yeah. So we was catching monsters on our way to the other building. That was the state notary. And so we asked them to authenticate our birth certificate. Basically, you go into the notary that represents the state's Department of Treasury, and they notarized my birth certificate. They put a special stamp on it, and they stapled a paper on top. You cannot remove the paper that they stapled on top of your long birth certificate. Getting the birth certificates, I got those the same day. Now, if you order them online, it takes a few weeks. But I got them the same day. We just sat there for about 20 minutes. And then it took about a week for me to get the notarized because they were trying to charge me like $40, $50 for overnight. And it wasn't that deep to me. I could wait a week. So I came back the next week and picked them up. And it wasn't difficult. And it was great. Nobody gave me a hard time. Nobody was confused. Nobody was combative.
On the tables, they actually had like the different example write-up forms.
Yeah.
Especially when they had like foreigner instructions as well as like if you came from a different state and you just started your nationality and stuff like that too.
So all the information is there. So they're not going to combat you at all. You got to know that they don't know law. They only know procedure. So when you communicate with them, you don't need to go up there with your chest poking out and I know this and I know that and this is the law. No, just tell them what procedure you need. When I went in there, I didn't really know how to communicate myself. So I was humble as shit. I just told them, like, listen, I don't really know what it's called in your office, but I was told that I need to get this authenticated with a stamp. And she was like, oh, you need it notarized. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah. And I asked her, I was like, are you the notary for the State Department of Treasury? Like, so that's who's notarizing it? And she's like, yeah. And she explained it to me. She was nice about it. She even gave me a little paper that explained what it was that I was doing on my birth certificate and the whole thing. Like, they'll be nice to you if you're nice to them. And ask questions if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You ain't got to go in there with your chest poked out. It's really not that deep. When you're reading the things, yeah, it makes you angry. But you got to know that the humans that you're speaking to in this space and time, they ain't got shit to do with shit. They're just doing what they're taught. To them, they just got a good-ass job. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right. Copy or it is void. Do not mark on it or it is void. Write down what you are going to say. You will be nervous and forgetful. When they call your name, walk up to the bar, but do not cross it. If it is a court of record, ask them, are we on record? That's what it's called, court of record. Once you're satisfied you're on the record, you can proceed. If they ask your name, ask again, are we on record? If it's a misdemeanor, a lot of times there is no record, so just proceed. Hand the birth certificate across the bar and say, I am here on special appearance. Let the record show that the person and birth certificate has been surrendered to the court. If they will not come and take the birth certificate, then gently toss it across the bar into the well of the court. Note, a person is a legal fiction. You are a living soul. A living soul is not a person. That's why we say we are spirits having a human experience. All the shit that we're learning in the spiritual conscious community goes hand in hand with law. That's why I say these spiritualists that are still having you guys walk in capitalism are false prophets. They know what the fuck they're doing. And a lot of them are probably AI anyway. But you gotta know your shit. So then You turn around and leave, don't stop, and do not answer questions. When they say, hey, you stop, or you have a court date on such and such, just keep going and get out. Do not respond and do not come back. Do not let them bluff you into coming back. At the time of this writing, this approach has worked 100% of the time. However, about 5%. Is there chicken on the stove?
Honestly, I believe that sound is the washing machine.
No, that's Scooby. However, about 5% of the folks who do this report that the court tries to threaten them with letters. The worst that may happen is that they send you a bill for whatever you're accused of and possibly the threat of an arrest warrant. Sometimes they'll send a letter with a new court date, and the very latest was the threat letter saying that there was an arrest warrant or threatening you with the arrest if you do not come in to be arraigned. However, if they could have issued or served a warrant, they would have. So this all has been a bluff 100% of the time. Even in the letter that said that there was an arrest warrant, there was one on the record, but it was never processed or served. Bluff, bluff, bluff. If you receive any of these letters, mail them back with a regular letter stating, I reserve all of my rights per UCC 1-308 and I do not consent. Do not enter anything into the record or place a court heading at the top of your letter, or that will be giving consent. A regular letter only. Only once has anyone reported being grabbed while leaving the court, and this man was still successful in leaving without prosecution. Alternate method. Simply telling the court, I reserve all my rights per UCC 1-308, and they will immediately let you go before, but not anymore. They keep coming against you, trying to trick you into their jurisdiction, which most people fall for because y'all love to argue. Filing documents into their court and motions give them jurisdiction. So they take the opportunity to deny everything and keep on working against you. So be mindful with those motions and those affidavits and all that. Especially now that they try to make everything easy through e-file. So I learned because I had a court case and I had an affidavit that I had wrote out myself. And when I wrote that out, when I went on there, they don't, first of all, the court wasn't open when I needed to be open, but they do give you the option to e-file. And if you read the terms and conditions to e-filing, if you are trying to, write that shit out as an American national and reserve all your rights, you give up your rights when you e-file. So don't do that. I realized that after I signed up for the e-filing option because it was convenient, of course, right? It's convenient, right? So once I seen the terms and conditions, I called them the next day and I told them that I created an account on their website by an accident. And I asked them to undo those contracts of the account so I could no longer log into the website. I no longer want to account with them. Because even if you have that e-file account with that login and that password, they did have, they ask you other questions before they give you the account or whatever. So you want to undo that contract immediately if you have one. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to do e-file. We like paper and we like things in writing, and we want to stay in the physical with it. The virtual is another trap for them. As soon as you put your shit through the ones and zeros, you go under their jurisdiction. Hey, Trigger. Hold on, Trigger. All right. So simply telling the court that I reserve all of my rights per UCC 1-308, and they will immediately let you go, blah, 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 blah. Filing documents into their court and motions gives them jurisdiction, so they take the opportunity to deny everything and keep on working against you. However, UCC 1-308 is the remedy to the court, so it is a matter of figuring out how to apply it without giving jurisdiction. The filing method is almost the same as the birth certificate method above, the alternative process. Take a certified copy of your birth certificate, which is certified by the state, to the court with you. Do not make a copy or it is void. Do not mark on it or it is void. Write down what you are going to say. You will be nervous and forgetful. When they call your name, walk up to the bar, but do not cross it. If it is a court on record, ask them, are we on record? Once you are satisfied that you're on the record, you can proceed. If they ask your name, ask again, are we on record? If it is a misdemeanor, a lot of times there is no record, so just proceed. Then say, I'm here on special appearance. Let the record show that you say your first name only, reserve all of my rights per UCC 1-308, and I do not consent. Then turn around and leave. Do not stop. Do not answer any questions. When they say, hey, you stop, keep on going and get out. The following is a suggested way to handle the situation for the one fellow that might get grabbed. Do not resist. If they lay hands on you and force you into the well of the court, if they do, Do not answer to any name. If they say, Mr. Whatever your name is while talking to you, say, I am not that person. I am the beneficiary and I reserve all of my rights per UCC 1-308. This is important because people have a tendency to get all emotional and worked up, and now you want to talk your shit. Now you want to talk about how they're wrong. You don't do none of that, because what's going to happen is if you keep your cool, you keep your words short. Don't start, going off at the lip or whatever. Keep your words short. You won't talk yourself out of, being the beneficiary. You're going to talk yourself into being the trustee, which is what they want you to do. So if they grab you and they take you in jail, be quiet. They're going to, when you get out, you can put a lien on their bonds. You can get paid for that. That's kidnapping. And y'all had no rights to bring me in here. Y'all had no rights to grab me. In the Bible story, what is it? Meshach and I do not know how to pronounce that man's name. But the three dudes they put in the fire. The king put in the fire. And it was in the fire. And then, the angel came and, he let them out. That is, that's pretty much the same kind of situation. All right. And you have to be calm and you have to trust and know who you are. Don't start doing a bunch of nut shit because that's when you fuck yourself up. If they ask what to call you, simply say, you can call me the beneficiary. If the judge threatens you with the contempt for not giving your name or answering his question, simply ask, can anything I say be used against me? Yeah, I don't know. Was it Abednego or something like that? Abednego. Yeah. So it's Meshach, Abednego, and who else?
Shadrach.
Yeah. Those three dudes that got put in the fire. It's the same type situation.
The three Hebrew children.
Mm-hmm. If the judge threatens you with contempt for not giving your name or answering his question, simply ask, can anything I say be used against me? They usually will not answer you, or they may say yes. Then you remain silent. See, back then it would be like, who are you? I am that. They say that I am, whatever, or that wordplay. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But that's the same shit. That's what I'm like, bro, you got to read the Bible different. This is giving you the keys. We've been doing this shit for a long time. There's nothing new under this sun, unfortunately. We still ain't get it right. If he threatens you over and over, keep asking, can anything I say be used against me? Or you can answer, I do not understand. Sometimes they will take your ID from your wallet and ask why your picture is on it. Say, that proves I am the beneficiary. Note, you had to show your birth certificate to get a social security number on a driver's license because the birth certificate proves you are the beneficiary who can receive it. If the judge tries to find you in contempt for not answering, others reported only being held for a few hours as a scare tactic, then they were let go. They cannot do anything to you unless you give them your name and or address. Ever notice that a cop asks or yells, what is your name? They have to ask your name to do, there's a typo. I hate when I find typos in books. And why is it always me? They're finding all these typos. They have to ask your name to do anything to you. Then ask, is this matter settled? They will try to hand the birth certificate back to you, but do not take it until they say the matter is settled, excused, or something to that effect. If the judge leaves the courtroom, he is trying to restart the proceedings because you have won. So say, let the record show that the judge has abandoned the case and now the case is closed with prejudice, and then leave. I did see that before. The one dude, he was up there, he was smoking their asses. The judge just walked out, and then he was able to walk out and nobody stopped him. The only thing you may get is a nasty threat of a bench warrant in the mail or an order to pay a fine. But this would be only a trick. There go another typo. If they could do anything at all, there would be an arrest warrant the first day. I would make notes before I go in so you do not lose track of what you're doing. Once you get nervous, it's hard to remember everything, which is true. I always take my time and do not let them rush me. Talk slowly. They only do that to intimidate you and force you to make a mistake. Say, I do not understand over and over again, regardless of the question. If you do not understand a question, do not answer it. Say, I do not understand. In fact, you can say this to any question the judge asks, such as, what is your name? Court tricks. They sometimes start offering plea bargains. The only way they can get you is to scare you into a plea without jurisdiction, your permission. They have to let you go. I've seen this work in courts 100% of the time, but there can always be an exception. When you say, I do not understand, the judge will ask you leading questions like, do you understand English? Can you read English? And etc. And if you answer yes, then he can assume that you do understand. Simply say, no, I do not understand. The judge may say, you answered me in English, you do understand. Say, I do not understand. I do not understand is a great way to answer everything after you tell him that you are the beneficiary. And for the nervous types who cannot think under pressure, it is the best way to answer at all times, places, and circumstances. Rarely do folks get this hard of time, but prepare for it just in case. If you stick to your guns and do not take the plea bargain, etc., charges have always been dismissed. If you are ever arrested for anything in the future, never give your name. Say you are not that person, but are the beneficiary and living soul. Used to be that they would hold you for 72 hours and then let you go if they could not get you to say your name or to take the bail or bond. But now they can hold you up to 10 days and then offer you a bail bond and return of your own reconnaissance. I feel like I read that so wrong. This is a trick. If you accept the offer, you are giving them jurisdiction. They have to let you go sometime after 10 days anyway. I am not that person, and it would be bond fraud for me to accept. Let me go. The judge will sometimes address you saying Mr. Smith this and Mr. Smith that. And if you answer the name, then again, you are that person. The judge just tricked you into his jurisdiction. Simply say, I do not know who you're talking to. I am not the person, Mr. Smith. I am the beneficiary, and I gave you the person per the birth certificate. Note, if you ever notice when somebody files a lawsuit, the court will dismiss the case saying that it is frivolous. What they are saying is that you cannot be the plaintiff because you are not the beneficiary. So always attach a copy of your birth certificate to the suit. All rights reserved, without prejudice. Without prejudice per UCC 1-308. All lawful reservations without prejudice per UCC 1-308, above or below your signature on an instrument represents the following. It's not a promise to appear or eliminates perjury, enforces the right to contract and the right to compromise an unconscionable contract, reserves all applicable rights on the Bill of Rights and the Article 3 judicial power under common law. Criminal intent must be brought forward to proceed. Like we've been talking about, like whenever somebody tries to charge you for something, say who was the injured party. Uphold separation of powers, all terms constitutional dealing with contracts, judicial, and taxes. Reserves personam jurisdictional issues. Estoppel of subject matter jurisdiction and summary admiralty. Non-assumpsit, habeas corpus, activating clause for police power at probable cause. Disrupts penumbra doctrine. Confession and avoidance. Miranda will be given for you to sign. Reserve your rights on this instrument by not becoming in personam at Rule 12b. Do not give up your personam to power of attorney because you waive rights with each admission or tacit response answered by a person standing in your stead, which makes you a personam for accepting the benefit. Remain silent and the reservation will command you to justice. All right, so you can read up to page 61 without prejudice. Right here.
Without prejudice. UCC 1-308, above or below your signature not only puts a condition on an unconditional contract, but also reserves all your rights under Article 3 judicial. Voids police power unless crime and probable cause exists. In constitutional statute, though having the form of law, is in reality no law and imposes no duties, confers no rights, creates no office, bestows no power on anyone, and justifies no actions performed under it. A.M. Jur. 2D Sec. .256. I have no idea what that is. Is that another one?
Yeah, those are abbreviations. American jurisdiction, probably.
All right. The graduated income tax, for example, is unconstitutional only if the citizen abates its color of law without prejudice to him. Abate put an end to its effect. Without prejudice serves notice upon any agent that you are not waiving any of your stated Bill of Rights. Beware of agency procedure and sign everything with the reservation to make the instrument non-assumption, free of liability. Black's non-assumption. The general issue is the action of assumption, being a plea by which the defendant avers he did not partake or promise as alleged when but whenever the judicial power is called into play and is responsible to the fundamental law, and no other authority can intervene to force or authorize the judicial body to disregard it. Yakas v. U.S. 321, U.S. 414, page 468, 1944. The officer may not know the law and will probably proceed with whatever form is to be taken per his training instructions. He is a ministerial officer of the court and is given very little discretional knowledge. When our rights are violated by agency, we must cooperate with constitutional remedy and recourse. The agents must sign forms also, and these become a permanent record of the administrative process that will receive your judicial notice. Our state citizenship is brought forth along with our personam rights, which do not mingle well with statute procedure. The purpose of your court appearance would be to gain your jurisdiction over your personam. I would suggest that for study purposes that you answer politely that you do not understand the charges and without prejudice under Uniform Commercial Code 1-308 due to mistakes in fact and law. I wish to remain silent. The magistrate will have to be very constrictive in his color of law procedure because his boundaries to engage you further are abated. Without contract or tacit consent to your jurisdiction, their claim is finished. Remember, you are in an Article 1 inferior court brought by admiralty, and the only power this court has over the sovereign citizen is to give remedy or take the issue to a grand jury for indictment under the Article 3. If there is criminal intent, the Fifth Amendment states, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment of a grand jury. If there is no victim in criminal intent, there is no crime. It may, however, be considered settled that letters or admissions containing the expression in substance that they are to be without prejudice will not be admitted in evidence. An arrangement stating that the letter was without prejudice was held to be inadmissible as evidence. Not only will the letter bearing the words without prejudice, but also the answer thereto, which was not so guarded, was inadmissible. Barry v. Taylor, 33 MO.323, Durgan v. Somers, 117 Mass 55, Mullinox v. Collier, 13 GA.406. When we the people are put into a circumstance of compromise, the only viable solution lies on the Uniform Commercial Code and its direct link to the Constitution for these United States of America. Important, UCC 1-207 was moved to UCC 1-308 to hide it from the public. If all goes well, you may be put on a red flag list. There appears to be 3 red flag lists. 1, the judge list appears to be the list of people against whom the judge will not issue a warrant for arrest unless they cause injury, but the judge will still let the police ticket you or arrest you. Then 2, the state list is a list of people where there will not only be no arrest warrants, but where the police cannot arrest you or ticket you or detain you unless you are causing injury. You are only protected in the state that has put you on their list. If you move to another state and change to the new state's ID, then you can get tickets or be arrested. And number 3, the federal list is like the state list except that you are protected in all states and territories. However, You can no longer get on this list by sending a federal judge a letter of your reservation of rights. You have to sue your way onto this list and possibly appeal. How UCC 1-308 works. The U.S. Constitution establishes the court's jurisdiction as common law, equity, and admiralty under Article 3. As opposed to this, the federal corporation establishes a similar jurisdiction except under the Uniform Commercial Code. See UCC 103, supplementary general principles of law applicable. Unless displaced by the particular provisions of this act, the principles of law and equity, including the law of merchant and the law relative to capacity to contract, principal and agent, estoppel, fraud, misrepresentation, duress, coercion, mistake, bankruptcy, or other validating or invalidating cause, shall supplement its provisions. Anytime you see law by itself, as in the foregoing, it means the common law, except that they are taking the common law jurisdiction from the contract, UCC. The remedy of recourse is UCC 1-308. So the UCC is a deceptive criminal contract constitution of sorts to those who use it against us. UCC 1-308 is the remedy for any legal process under commercial law in the United States. UCC, you might have to look up what this symbol is. 1-308, performance of acceptance under reservation of rights. A party that will split reservation of rights performs or promises performance or assents to performance in a manner demanded or offered by the other party does not therefore or thereby prejudice the rights reserved. Such words as without prejudice under protest or the like are sufficient. Since the federal corporation is just that, a corporation, it has no jurisdiction except with those that contract with it. Also see Congressional Act of 1871 and 28, USC 3002, Part 4, Chapter 176, Subchapter 176, Subsection A, 15, United States means a federal corporation. The states illegally contracted with the federal corporation by passing the Uniform Commercial Code, making themselves as well the unsuspecting people subject to the federal corporation and also to the states in their new commercial capacities. The Uniform Commercial Code creates the corporate state of the United States, the federal corporation, as opposed to the several de jure states of the Union. The UCC 1-201 General Definitions 38 states mean states of the United States, as opposed to the several states of the Union, USC Title 28, Part 4, Chapters 176, Subchapter A, 3002, Definitions 14, state means any of the several states. Because the states accepted and passed the Uniform Commercial Code, they converted state citizens into persons, legal entities, and articles of commerce, and the states into vessels of the United States, placing the states and state citizens under maritime law. See the brilliant word smithing in the following. USC Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 1, 9, Vessel of the United States defined. The term vessel of the United States, as used in this title, means a vessel belonging in whole or in part of the United States, or any citizen thereof, or any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof. Therefore, all laws, color of law, are contractual commercial laws, and the remedy is UCC 1-308. The Uniform Commercial Code makes all crimes commercial only by contract as per 27 CFR 72.11. The problem is that only the higher courts will recognize the remedy. However, the remedy should legally and always be given without delay. on demand or a claim. This, of course, is the problem. The misdemeanor courts do not have a clue as to where the jurisdiction comes from, and neither do magistrates. You have to get in front of a court with a real judge that tries felonies. The courts try to string you along under duress of threat, hoping that you can be scared into a plea. But in the end, they have to honor the remedy. 27 CFR 72.11 Disposition of seized personnel property. Personal property. Table of contents. Subpart B. Definitions. Commercial crimes. Any of the following types of crimes: federal or state. Offenses against the revenue laws: burglary, counterfeiting, forgery, kidnapping, larceny, robbery, illegal sale or possession of deadly weapons, prostitution, including soliciting, procuring, pandering, white slaving, keeping house of ill fame, and like offenses, extortion, swindling, and confidences games, and attempting to commit, conspiring to commit, or compounding any of the foregoing crimes. Addiction to narcotic drugs and use of marijuana will be treated as if it were a commercial crime. 1938, April 25th, the Supreme Court overturned the standing precedents of the prior 150 years concerning common law in the federal government, because there is no longer silver or gold coin as Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. There is no federal common law, and Congress has no power to declare substantive rules of common law applicable in a state, whether they be local or general in their nature, be they commercial law or part of law of torts. Erie Railroad Co. v. Tompkins, 304 U.S. 6482 LED, 1188. The common law in this fountain source of substantive and remedial rights, if not for our very liberties, the members and associates of the bar thereafter formed committees and granted themselves special privileges, immunities, and franchises, and held meetings concerning judicial procedures, and further to amend laws to conform to a trend of judicial decisions or to accomplish similar objectives, including hodgepodging the jurisdictions of law and equity together, which is known today as one form of action. See Constitution by Laws, Article 3, Section 3.3c, 1990-91 Reference Book. Also Colorado Methods of Practice, West Publishing, Volume 4, pages 2-3, Author's Comments. 1939 ABA, American Bar Association, gets more involved in approval of uniform law products. 39 acts are presented to the Board of Governors of the ABA for consideration and approval. During the same year, all acts on aeronautics and motor vehicles are eliminated, as well as the Land Registration Act, Child Labor Act of 1930, and Uniform Divorce Jurisdiction Act, Firearms Act, Marriage Act, and more. 6 acts are reclassified as model acts. 1940 at start of the decade after the deletions, etc. 53 acts out of 93 which have been approved since the group's founding remain on the books. Drafting committee for the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, approved. 1941, speaking of the Commercial Code project, the conference president states, "This is the most important and the most far-reaching project on which the conference has ever embarked. It would take the major part of the next 10 years period to complete." 1942, UCC effort begins in earnest with completion of work on the revised Uniform Sales Act. 1943, members of the conference participate in the drafting committee in Washington, D.C. to work on legislation which the government might desire in connection with the war effort. No new acts. 1944, conference receives $150,000 grant from the FAOK Foundation of Pittsburgh to support work on the UCC. 1945, no annual meeting for the first time due to difficulties of civilian transport during the war. 1946, FALK Foundation increases its support of the UCC with an additional $100,000. 1947, Uniform Law Conference, ULC, and American Law Institute, ALI, join in partnership to put all the components together for the UCC Uniform Divorce Recognition Act approved. 1950, approval of the Uniform Marriage License Application Act, Uniform Adoption Act, and Uniform Reciprocal Enforcement of Support Act, URESA. The latter has been one of the most successful ULC products. 1951, May 18th, during a joint meeting with the American Law Institute in Washington, D.C., the UCC was approved later that year. The ABA formally approved the code as well. Considered the outstanding accomplishment of the conference, the code remains the ULC's signature product. As one of the uniforms laws drafted by the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws and the American Law Institute governing commercial transactions, including sales and leasing of goods, transfers of funds, commercial paper, bank deposits and collections, letters of credit, bulk transfers, warehouse receipts, bills of lading, investment securities, and secured transactions. The Uniform Commercial Code UCC has been adopted in whole or substantially by all states. See Black Law 6th edition, page 1531. In essence, all court decisions are based on commercial law or businesses law with criminal penalties associated with it, rather than openly calling this new law Admiralty Maritime Law. It is called statutory jurisdiction. America is a bankrupt nation owned completely by its creditors. The creditors own the Congress, they own the executive, they own the judiciary, and they own all the state governments. Do you have a birth certificate? They own you too. Last note, the 14th Amendment creates a lower class of citizen of the United States, rather than the higher class of citizen of one of the several states of the Union. The remedy provided to the 14th Amendment is an act by Congress known as 15 U.S. Statute at Large, July 27, 1868, one day before the 14th Amendment took effect, also known as the Expiration Statute. This is your remedy to claim your being a natural citizen of your state. This makes you a higher citizen and no longer subject to the Article 4 loophole that deprives you of your rights. Gone is the self-evident truth that all men are created equal. The Uniform Commercial Code is a private international law that is owned by UNIDROIT, UNIDROIT. Does the UCC apply to you? The body of learning we call conflict of laws is called private international law because it pertains to private interests, while public international law pertains to relations between states. Garner v. Teamsters, Chauffeurs, and Helpers Local Union, 346 U.S. 48, 485, 495, 98 LED 228, 74 SCT 161. In the sense of public international law, the several states of the Union are not foreign to the United States, nor are they foreign to each other. But such is not the case in the field of private international law. Robinson v. Norado, 71 RI 256, 43, A2D 467, 162, ALR 362. The Uniform Commercial Code, by the copyright owner's own admission, is private international law. In other words, the 50 United States of the Union are publicly united with each other, while privately foreign to the United States. In other words, the private international law pertains to private interests, and public international law pertains to public relations between states. To simplify the events that cause the confusion of public is private and private is public, we conclude the following. And that is 61. They actually state all the laws and like the different editions for the different Black law books, as well as lawyer notes. It was a lot to read too. A lot of different paid subsections.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of references to different statutes and things like that. We're gonna wrap this book up tomorrow, easy. We only got like 5 pages left, so we're gonna read that last part tomorrow because it was a lot of information today. How to communicate yourself in a courtroom, the different kind of acts, and that the ABA or the American Bar Association covers, because again, talking about it, they're more so in alignment with procedure than they are with the actual law. Explaining what the Uniform Commercial Code is and the different precedents, which is a fancy word for procedure. Okay. So remember, they don't really know law, they just know procedure. Also reminding you guys how to conduct yourself in these rooms, whether you're being pulled over or you're being in a court appearance, how you communicate yourself, and the kind of attitude you should have in that said communication. Also explaining how UCC 1-308 operates. I believe coming up soon will be, if they don't do it in the videos, I will definitely be going over it with you guys, how to sign your name, because there's a certain way you should be writing your name, certain kind of certain kind of symbols that you should be using, like the semicolon and stuff in between your names and stuff. And I'll be explaining to you guys the science behind that and all that. But I think they do go over it in this video, because I think that's how I found about it. But yeah. So now we're gonna get into day 9 of Brandon Williams' course.
Number 9. I just couldn't walk away. I had to do another one. I'm just so on a roll with these. I'm having such a good time, really enjoying teaching you guys this stuff. Really hope you guys are just absolutely blown away by all this, because man, this is all I think about, man, all day long, every single day for so long. I mean, probably since September of 2021. I mean, I'd say literally all day, every day. I mean, it's the only thing I think I've ever found in my entire life that has consumed my mind as much as sex has. As a man. This shit is just so fucking badass, man. Okay. Let's move on to video number 9. So section 9 here on my theory page, we've already gone over a bunch of this stuff. W4, W9 forms have zero repercussions for entirely avoiding them. Once you've got them filled out and signed, you are now obligated and contracted unless you file a revocation of election. So let's go ahead and get into that revocation of election a little bit. So we have Weiss and Associates. We have, let me see here. I'm actually going to turn you guys off for a minute, because I'm going to go into my Google Drive and see if I'm going to show you guys a little something. I have some revocation of election documents that I filed My main problem is that I got them from a dude and I like paid him for them. So I'm not going to show you all of them, but I am going to show you kind of like one of the main ones. And then I'm going to show you guys how you can kind of do it. I'm just not feeling super, super comfortable with just giving you guys everything all in one shot. So let's go ahead and go through this one here. This is a revocation of election. This is one particular section. So there's an affidavit that I had sent in. Basically, the affidavit said, I live on the land of California. I'm not, a U.S. citizen. I didn't know what I was signing back in the day. And it says that basically all the way back to when I was 18 years old, all the shit I've ever signed and everything I've ever paid you guys is bullshit. And I want to get it taken back, and all the previous documentation and all the previous contracts are all null and void because I signed them under without understanding them, and blah 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 blah. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah, I have it here. So I sent the commissioner a letter that said, blah, 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 all the same shit. And then I sent him, I'm terminating my IRS presumed consent to be defined as a surety guarantor or fiduciary agent or government fiction or government employee. I'm no longer electing or volunteering to be treated as though I'm a taxpayer or a U.S. citizen or a fiduciary agent. Let's see here. So basically what I did was a really, really complicated way of doing what's called a Form 56, which we're going to get into that too. So this is going to be kind of heavy duty. I'll try to make this as simple as I can. So here's the revocation of elections. So that's the affidavit part, the other one. But a Form 56 is basically a much simpler way of doing it. I'm going to show you Form 56. If you want to do it the more complicated way, like what I did, which is way more thorough and in-depth, I'll show you some people that you can pay to help you with that. I have a guy that can help you. So this is a very long, I think it's like 40 pages of just all sorts of case law and different sections, page 1 of 29. It's just a super long kind of educational piece of paper, Black's Law Dictionary, definitions, just all sorts of stuff, right? So I sent this in with an affidavit that was probably 25 pages long. Okay. And this is all stuff that you want to learn. I mean, really just even what I've taught you in this course is pretty much all you need to know. So IRS Form 56. I didn't do an IRS Form 56. I did a affidavit, like a full-blown like monster affidavit. Because again, these are just forms. So forms just mean a way of doing something. An affidavit and really clarifying everything in writing is sort of like the manual hardcore version of what forms would do. And forms, you can just print this form off and just slice an area out of it and put in another box and do whatever you want. A form is basically a template. A form is not something that's like set in stone, except something like a passport form. Again, a passport form is pretty hardcore. You start fucking with that form and they'll just take your money and not approve your passport. It's very simple. But the IRS is very different. The IRS, everybody thinks they're this big, bad monster death organization. They're actually super, super chill. And they're actually super, super kind of like whatever, like laissez-faire. They don't give a fuck. Like they give you these forms and they're like, whatever, dude. Like just whatever, like sign it under penalty of perjury, I guess. Some of the forms you don't even fucking sign under penalty of perjury. Anyways, Form 56. This is I've never done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and go through this with you because this, as far as I know, is the simplest and easiest way to do a revocation of election. So if you wanted to send in a Form 56 now, look right here, Section 2, revocation or termination or of notice. So you can always send in one of these bad boys with send in a W8BEN, send in a Form 56. And then if you want to, you can always do like more advanced shit and affidavits and more crazy ass shit later on. Okay. So this one, name of person for whom you are acting as shown on the tax return. Now this one, you're probably going to want to type in your normal name because they need to find you in the system, or the name that your taxes are under or whatever. So if your name's under, if my taxes was under my first, middle, and last name, right? And then here, I don't know what identifying number is, social security number. I'd probably type that in there because you want to make sure that this form gets connected with all your files, right? Address for whom you are acting. You should type in the address. You should probably type in the address of wherever you're normally sending in your IRS stuff, right? Fiduciary's name. I guess that would just be you as well. You could even do address of person for whom you were acting, and then you could type in your normal address, 123 Purple Monkey Lane, Glendale, California. If you wanted to, and then for fiduciary's name, you could do your name. You could do Brandon Joe. I don't really know how to do this. I would say Brandon Joe Williams, beneficiary, and then beneficiaries or fiduciaries. Well, a fiduciary wouldn't be a beneficiary. Damn, I don't know. Maybe just go like this then. Just like that. And then address, I would do maybe CO. 123 Purple Monkey Lane. And then city. Wait. City's Glendale, California. And then I would do the four corners rule. It's asking for a zip code, and it's not asking. It's telling. It's not asking. So I would do four corners rule like that. Oh, I fucked all this up. This is where this is supposed to go. So funny.
Wawa has the right drinks for the right time, like a brownie latte post-meeting bonus, a fudge brownie cream smoothie to celebrate.
Telephone number, authority for fiduciary relationship. It would just be other. You would just say it's me, or you would say, actually, what you could say is that you actually could do this a little differently. Now that I think about it, this is actually how I would do this. Person for whom you are acting is actually the trust name, so it'd be all capital letters, and then it would be the address. And then you would say yourself in a human name, and then and then care of your information, right? And then I would do other, and then I would put agent for the trust known as Brandon Joe Williams. And then types of taxes, check all that apply. I would do all of them. And then do other, and then I would do everything. Federal tax form number, check all that apply. I guess as a fiduciary, what tax forms are you taking over or whatever? I just well, I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't check any of those. There's probably videos online on how to do this Form 56 better. You would leave that alone, the that box there. Revocation or termination of notice. Check this box if you are revoking or terminating all prior notices concerning fiduciary relationships on file with the Internal Revenue Service for the same tax matters and years or periods covered by this notice concerning fiduciary relationship. Yeah, you are. You're terminating all prior notices concerning fiduciary relationships on file. Reason for termination of fiduciary relationship. Check applicable box. You do other, and you would do revocation of election to be treated as a resident alien as per (26 CFR section 1.871-1). Copy that bitch, paste it in there. Section B, partial revocation. No, you want just section A as total revocation or termination. Court and administrating proceedings. Name of court. No, I just do NA. I mean, you would do the social security number too. Do I still have you guys here? Good. I don't want to type numbers in my numpad because I'll fuck up my thing. So 123-12-1234. That's the social security number of the trust name, which is yours, but it's the trust actually. So my all caps trust name, 123 Purple Monkey Lane, Glendale, California. You could do the brackets on this if you want. I don't think it's gonna make a difference. They say they want the zip code, so I'll put it in there, I guess. Then the fiduciary. Now, what does fiduciary mean? Fiduciary means trustee. So you're the trustee of your trust. That's basically how you're writing this identification. Me as the human being, as I'm administering what's going on with my trust as a fiduciary. And I'm actually going to have to show you something else. So here's a quote from In re Bolins, which is the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. Every taxpayer is assessed to KV trust. Or I'm sorry, every taxpayer is assessed to K trust. So what that means is you don't actually owe taxes. The trust owes taxes because the trust is located in Puerto Rico. And so the trust is technically a U.S. citizen because it lives in one of the territories and blah, 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 blah. So what you're doing with a Form 56 is you're saying me as a fiduciary, as the trustee of my trust, my Sesta K trust, I am eliminating the relationship. I'm acting as though I'm the agent. So actually here under fiduciary name, this is actually perfect. you would actually do human name, comma, and then you would do agent. Boom. Right there. That's how you do it. So all caps, address. You could do the CO here. It doesn't really matter. You could do the CO here just to be safe, I guess. CO, Purple Monkey Lane. And then you do the brackets around the zip code, and then you fully spell out the state. And then you do my name in all lowercase with the hyphen and the colon and then comma agent. And then it would be the same address. You could type your telephone number in if you want. It doesn't really matter. It says optional. Section A, authority, is other. It's a, let me just make sure. Yeah, I like this. G, other, agent for the trust known as Brandon Joe Williams. Nature of liability and tax notices, everything, and check everything. Federal tax form number. I don't know if I would check all this. Let's see. I would actually, you know what? I would check all this. It's asking you, like, are you the fiduciary? Are you the man to make the decision for all of these federal tax forms? So I guess I would check these. I'm pretty sure. Just say everything, and then that one you're going to leave unchecked, and then this one you're going to do the total revocation or termination. Perfect. And then you're going to do NA on court or administrative proceedings. And then, yeah, title if applicable. You're going to sign this as the fiduciary. So keep that in mind. So you're signing it as the agent. So you're going to do it just like I taught you before. When you sign this one, you're going to sign this one.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk? What? And not only that, but why is the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that's what it does?
Without prejudice. Brandon hyphen Joe colon Williams. Now with this one, you're acting as an agent for the trust. So you're going to do comma. Agent. Remember, you can do comma, and then you're doing your title. Your title could be trustee. Your title could be beneficiary. Your title could be agent. There's probably other ones too, but those are the only ones that I know about that I really use. Again, I'm no pro. So you date this bitch. Title would be agent. So actually, you wouldn't sign it. You wouldn't sign it agent. You would just, well, you could, but you wouldn't sign it agent. Now that I think about it, here, let's go back because I didn't realize title was here. So, annoying. All right, you would actually just sign it with the human name. Without prejudice, human name, because it's asking you for the title here. So you would just put the title in here, sign here, date here, print this bitch off, send this bitch in. So actually, now that I think about it, this is actually really, really fucking easy. The revocation of elections really, 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 really complicated. It's so funny, like, that I'm just sitting here realizing this for myself. I kind of knew about the Form 56. I've never really, like, taken the chance to really look at it, like, thoroughly, you know? So let me just look over this one more time and take a look. Damn. So this is fucking crazy. You guys, I was hoping to point you guys in the right direction. This is like 10 times better. This is like hot and heavy. I mean, you could have your revocation of election practically filed today. You could send this fucking thing in today. Where does it say to send it to? It says, it doesn't tell you. Go to, here, it says go to irs.gov/form 56 for instructions. Whoops. No, I lost it. No. Well, that's all right. You guys had it figured out. Don't click off of it. See, look at this. Can you guys see this? Definitions: fiduciary. Fiduciary is any person in a position of confidence acting on behalf of any other person. What's the definition of person? It's right here. Any individual, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. So you are a person, a human, and you're acting on behalf of another person, which is a trust. That's the way we just filled out the form. Fiduciary's name is your human name, and name of person for whom you are acting. Person meaning trust. It's your name in all capital letters. So I hope you're starting to get this. I know it's confusing, but I really hope you're starting to get it. I sure am happy that I was able to help you find this, because this is easy. Just fill that bitch out the way I just wrote it, man. Oh boy. You just revoked your election to be treated as though you're a resident alien. You just moved your ass. As per the Internal Revenue Service, you just moved your ass. You just moved your ass back to your state. Now, when you file this, you still need to do your passport. You still need to do other shit too. But just with the IRS, you've just eliminated your resident alien status, which is great. That's a big, huge step. So the WABEN kills the contract. The Form 56 kills the contract. And then later on, if you want to do something even more, or if they need something more, or if they start asking questions, which I really don't think they will, unless you're being a fucking dick, then they'll fucking do something. But if you chill, they'll probably just accept this and just literally just revoke your election, and it'll be really simple and painless. And then you can move on to the next thing, which we're going to go over here. I just don't know where the fuck you send this thing. Like, where the fuck do you send this thing? You finish this, and then you sign it. I don't know. Just mail it in. Just get it, fucking mail it in, and then just call them, I guess, at some point and just see. Just mail it into their like main headquarters. Just type in like IRS headquarters. Like, I don't fucking know, dude. It tells you if you can write to this place, but don't send the form to this office. Fuck, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I took you all the way to the 99-yard line here. I don't know where you mail the fucking thing. So funny. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, hell, let's just, where do you mail the IRS Form 56? This is fucking ridiculous. I don't.
I'm going to give you my number one tip to get over a breakup, and that is going to be going to therapy. Going to therapy helped me so much.
Oh, here we go. Where to file addresses for taxpayers and tax professionals filing Form 1040 or 1040 SR. I guess this is where you send the Form 56. So fucking annoying. So if you live in these areas, you send it here. You can pause the video, I guess. If you live in Pennsylvania, you send it here. If you live in Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, send it here. Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, you send it here. Arizona, New Mexico, you send it here. And then Alaska, California, Colorado, here. Form 1040 and 1040 for taxpayers who are non-residents. Wait. Austin, Texas. If you live in a foreign country, U.S. possession or territory, or use an APO or FPO address. Okay, I would actually send it here. Sorry. Form 1040 and Form 1040 SR addresses for taxpayers who are non-resident. Because you're non-resident. You're telling them I'm a non-resident. I'm a foreign country. I'm in a foreign country, which you are. You're in a state. So use this address if you are not enclosing a payment. So here's the answer to the question. Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Austin, Texas. Zip code is 73301-0215 USA. There you go. That's where you send it. God, it's like fucking impossible to figure this shit out sometimes. See how hard it can be? So that's where you send the Form 56. Now, if you want to go to the next level and you would like to file like a full-blown, like whole big-ass deal, like the whole thing, like what I did, let me make sure you go with me. Good. This is one of the guys that I've seen. They have these videos. You can go on my website to the resources section and you can find these guys have awesome fucking videos. They're a bit boring, but holy shit, they're really good. See, view video right here. Oh, I didn't even know. What is this? Oh man, what? No fucking way. They have documents. Whoa, non-resident alien chart. Holy shit, dude. Whoa, I didn't even know this was here. Oh, how fucking sick. They have one that's a video. Oh, dude, this is so sick. The basics of moving cryptocurrencies. What the fuck? How cryptocurrencies complement the revocation of election process. Whoa, I'm not into crypto, but I know a lot of you guys are. Are you a U.S. citizen? Who are non-resident alien individuals? This is the one that I watched that like really blew my mind, right? So here we go. This is YouTube. They take you straight to YouTube, and this is cool. I didn't know they had all this. This is cool, and I saw a couple other videos. Jurisdiction of the federal income tax. That one's really good, bro. Holy fuck, that one is epic. So this is Weiss and Associates. These guys do. They handle all sorts of shit. It looks like federal tax liens, intent to levies, notice of intent to levies, tax problems, revocation of election, all sorts of good shit. So there's I don't know if they're actually accountants. Usually you don't see accountants doing any of this stuff because it's kind of self-defeats their whole purpose of being an accountant, which is to fucking steal money and give it to the IRS under perjury and lies. They don't realize it's perjury and lies, but that's what it is. So this one is weissparis.com, WEISSPARPARIS.com. These guys are cool as fuck. Watch their videos. Check out their resources. Are you a non-resident alien? Here's an article. Again, it's a lot of information. The videos are a bit dry, I will admit, but man, this shit's fucking cool. Would you like to permanently leave the U.S. tax club? Denial of passport. That's cool. If you owe more than $50,000 and you can't get a passport. This is interesting. Okay, so this is cool. So when we go over the passport section, if for some reason you have a situation where you can't get a passport, you can hire these bad boys to help you get that cleaned up. Documents needed before we proceed. Our mission. Dope. Super dope. And then I think it's PCS 1-308 Instagram. Yeah, this one here. It's PCS 1.308. Oh, this is weird. Anyways, I know for a fact that this is the username. It's the Yahoo Yakin Ministries. So if you want to check this shit out and you want to have it on your social media, besides my dumbass shit, you can you want to add this dude right here. PCS 1.308 Yahoo Yakin Ministries. It might change that, but common law educators, allodial titles, which we're going to get into, secured party creditor filings, trusts. Cool dude. Word of warning on this guy. He is a bit of a doomsday boy. We're all going to die. Change your status now before you burst into flames and are murdered and killed and your organs are harvested forever for whatever. He's just a very a little bit hardcore on that end of the spectrum. That could change, but I still love the guy. I think his information's great, and I would love to send him some people like I'm doing right now. I think he deserves to get some people. So we got PCS 1-308. We've got Weiss and Associates. PCS 1.308 is definitely more on like the kind of hip side of things. Weiss and Associates is definitely more on the like ultra professional. This is basically like a super dope accountant / lawyer. That's basically what this is. Like if you were to actually meet these guys, they're probably like white dudes in like suits and they're just like chilling. They're like older, super chill. So like that's kind of like the vibe. Kind of dry, kind of like, if that's kind of what you're looking for, right? And then one more resource while we're on the revocation of election and some of this other stuff is your boy. I'm spacing out on his name right now. He'll probably come up once he comes up on the screen. Holy shit, I'm like totally spacing out on this dude's name. Whoa, wait a second. No way. James C. Lovett. U.S. National Consulting Explanatory Statements. Is his website down? Oh my Lord, James the boy. He's got all sorts of cool videos on his. Damn, I think his website's down. That is fucked. Hopefully he's working on it. Wow, that is fucking crazy. This dude's dope, and he charges like $50 an hour or $50 a half an hour for James C. Lovett. James C. Lovett. This guy's got a lot of great videos, man. He's such a cool guy. He's such a good dude. He's doing a lot of videos. He's done a lot of videos in the past too. Super, super cool dude. Super, super informative and very inexpensive. And he's got all sorts of documents on his website. Blacksite32.com. I have no idea why it's down. That's fucking crazy. I bought my explanatory statement for my passport from this dude. And then, frankly, in all honesty, it had a lot of grammatical errors, and it was like something I had to kind of clean up because it had a lot of grammatical errors, and like the spacing and like the punctuation and stuff was really goofy. So just to be totally honest, but the information was fucking, it blew my mind. So I just went through and cleaned the whole thing up, made it look really, really nice, cleaned up all the syntax and the punctuation and the spacing. Sometimes there's 2 spaces or 3 spaces between a lot of the words. I cleaned all that up and then adjusted some things for myself. And this is where I got the explanatory statement from. So when we get to the passport section, you can purchase his explanatory statement if you want, and do the same thing that I did if you want. And yeah. So let's see. Boy, I don't even know where I'm at on this video. Okay, so that's the breaking down the revocation of election. Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. Good. Form 56. I mean, you could just do a Form 56 and then do it the way I just wrote it out and then send that thing in, do a WABEN, not pay anybody. Before I was saying like, oh, $1,200 or $2,500 to do all this. Fuck that, dude. Just do. I mean, if you just want to do this shit on the cheapsies, do a WABEN and do a Form 56 and see what happens. I mean, I honestly, like, I would say 99% chance you just did a revocation of election and you just handled your employer. And if you can't use a WABEN, use the W4T. But when you're doing a WABEN or a W4T, you want to get that Form 56 sent fast. You should send it right away. Like me, what I would do is I would have the Form 56 and I would send that thing in the mail, probably certified mail, return receipt requested. Send that fucking thing off. And as soon as you send that thing and you've got the tracking code and the receipt and it's gone and it's out the door, turn right around and boom, submit your WABEN. And don't say a word. And if they come back to you and they're like, this is super weird and they're freaked out, no problem. Take it back. Give them the W4T form. That's what I would do. That's like cost you no money, requires zero communication skills. You don't have to write anything. You have to do anything. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to worry about anybody freaking out on you. You don't have to explain anything. You ain't got to do shit. If they say WABEN is kind of weird, no problem. Take it back. Give them a W4T. If you really, 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 really want them to take the WABEN, you can probably call the IRS and tell them that your employer's refusing to accept a form from you, and they'll probably do something about it because they're not too fond about shit like that. But if you just want to keep the hostilities and all the other bullshit down super low, and you want to just keep things really, really simple, the Form 56, send it yourself. Don't tell your employer to send it. And then the W4T if the WABEN is weird to them, which I most likely will be. So there you go. Fuck, that's dope, man. So easy. You can't stop paying your taxes if you're without doing all this. So, but you can do all this like today. You can literally sit down right now and do this, and then like boom, like have it out the door. Just print that thing off, sign it, type it in the way I said. I would probably type it because they give you the forms in the PDF form. Don't try to write it all out with your hand. I mean, you can obviously if you want to, but it's probably easier to read if you type it all out, sign it the way I told you, fold it up, put that motherfucker in just a cheap ass little envelope, send that thing, certified mail return receipt requested so that you get the tracking number. Boom, dog. You just revoked your election. So what that means is you just revoked your election to be treated as though you're a resident alien. Yeah, you can just simply tell your employers that they have no obligation to withhold for you. And your taxes is simply between you and your government. Withholding for the government is tacit consent that you are a government employee / business, by the way. Yeah. The W4T form is the same thing. You don't even need to say anything. The W4T form says that the taxes are between me and my government. You have nothing to do with it. So stop having anything to do with it because you don't have anything to do with it. That's what the W4T form is. You saw it. So, I hired a huge, monstrously large payroll company, and you don't need a social security number or anything. If the person has a passport and it's not expired, that's all you need for employment. So once you get your passport you're solid, right? We've already gone over the definition of an affidavit. There's a lot of power in an affidavit, crazy amounts of power. If you send an affidavit and they never respond, then the judgment defaults to your affidavit. So whatever you say becomes truth in law. We're going to get into this is part of the 10 laws of commercial law, or the 10 maxims of commercial law. We're going to get into those. Well, yeah, fuck it. We'll get into it right now. So in terms of an affidavit, what you need to know is this is the 10 commercial maxims, the basic rules of commercial law, right? A workman is worthy of his hire, right? Which means it is against equity for free men to not have free disposal of their own property, right? Number 2, all are equal under the law, which means no one is above the law. Now, that doesn't mean statute. That means the law, which means you can't hurt people. You can't steal from people. You can't fuck people over with your contracts, which is what the big banker people do all day long. They do all three. So when it says here, all are equal under the law and no one is above the law, they're referring to common law, which is not statute, which statute is fucking dumb. Point number 3, in commerce, truth is sovereign, which means the king. To lie is to go against the mind. That's the legal maxim here, right? So truth is the big boy when it comes to affidavits and law, real law, not statute, right? And then here's why I wanted to get into this, because we're talking about affidavits, right? So here's where a lot of these points are about affidavits. And again, an affidavit is just something that is a notarized piece of paper that has shit on it that you're writing, whether it's orders, whether it's changing a contract, whether it's your own status as a human person, whatever it is. You can write whatever you want. You can write on a piece of paper, I'm a purple people eater, and I live in Saskatchewan in a thatched cottage, and I smoke crack and suck dick 4 hours a day, and get it notarized and mail it somewhere, and it's an affidavit. So here we go. Point number 4: truth is expressed by means of an affidavit. Number 5. An unrebutted affidavit, meaning they don't respond to it in some way, meaning they don't respond to it actually talking about the points or rebutting or going over each individual one of the points of the affidavit. They can't just like say, oh, fuck you. Like, they have to actually respond to the affidavit points. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce, right? So the legal maxim on that, he who does not deny admits. So it's the same thing in reverse. If they send you an affidavit and you don't respond, then you're admitting that it's true. So it could be anything, right? An unrebutted affidavit becomes the judgment in commerce, right? Again, same thing. A matter has to be expressed to be resolved is number 7. He who fails to assert his rights has none. That's the legal maxim on that. So failing to express no, failing to express I'd like to change that agreement, failing to express the fact that you have rights means you don't have any of those things. So a matter must be expressed to be resolved. Point number 8, he who leaves the field of battle first loses by default. So what that means is that he who does not repel a wrong when he can occasions it. So whoever gives up loses, basically, right? Whoever leaves or gives up is the one who loses, right? Number 9, sacrifice is the measure of credibility. That just means, it says here, he who bears the burden ought to also derive the benefit. So whoever has the most skin in the game and the most to lose is the senior person. That's like the maxim, this particular maxim of commercial law. If someone has to, if they can lose everything they own and their house and their kids and everything, they have more credibility and more leverage and more of a seniority than anyone else who hasn't had that much sacrifice, right? And then number 10 is an interesting one. It's very different. A lien or claim can be satisfied only through rebuttal by counter affidavit, point by point, resolution by jury, or payment. If the plaintiff does not prove his case, the defendant is absolved. Okay, so what that means is if you lien somebody, right, which I'm not going to get into liens in this course. That's a attack type mechanism when you're trying to attack someone that's pissed you off. By the time you get to the end of this course, you'll probably be ready to study liens. If you want to get into that, you can. I've never done one before. I have one situation literally right now that I may have to file one. We'll see. But you can lien people for whatever you want. It's an attack. It's aggressive. I wouldn't recommend it unless it's absolutely justified. And what I mean by that is if there's somebody running around, they're doing really awful shit to you and maybe other people, and they need to get slapped around a little bit to realize that they can't be running around treating people like that. And you've tried to very calmly and quietly and unemotionally handle the person, and they're still running around, and you think that hitting them with a baseball bat would clean up their act and maybe help other people and keep them and prevent them from doing bad shit to other people, man, lien might be good. Lien might be good. So when you file a lien on somebody, it can only be satisfied through rebuttal by counter affidavit, point by point. So if you put 10 things in there, they have to counter affidavit that, and they have to handle and address all 10 points. Or they can get a resolution by a jury, or they have to pay the lien. So if it's a $200,000 lien, they have to actually pay the full amount of the lien in order to satisfy the lien. Those are the three ways that it can be satisfied. Counter affidavit, point by point. I just flicked you off. Resolution by jury, or payment of the lien. Okay. So, this is interesting. Parts of an official affidavit. I didn't even know this. Have it notarized, blah, blah, blah. Interesting. What is this? Freedom School? freedom-school.com/redemption/quick study of commercial law with dashes in between each one .html. That's cool. I didn't know this. Huh. Parts of an official affidavit. I didn't know this. I didn't know this. I've been writing them. Interesting. Written in the present tense, written in a clean, clear, minimalist style. I do that. Sign in red ink. I don't do that. I do a red thumbprint. I have a thumbprint thing over here, and I do a red thumbprint on my shit. Anyways, interesting. So that's the point, the last point here on here that I was talking about, an affidavit, right? So I was talking to you a little bit about the power of an affidavit, and the thing is that no one will stick their neck out for the company and do an affidavit and send it back, because then they have to swear under penalty of perjury. They have to counter every single point individually, like it says here, right? They have to. A lien can only be satisfied through rebuttal by counter affidavit, point by point. So if you're going to lien them, or you're going to lien them for attacking you, if someone's sending you shit and they're trying to attack you, you can counterattack with a lien. If you do counterattack with a lien, then they have to, the lien would have an affidavit attached to it. They would have to counter the affidavit point by point in order to combat that lien. Otherwise, they're going to get slammed. Anyways, I'm not going to get into liens too much. I don't really have any point on my theory page about liens. You can write a lien, you can send it to somebody, and then as per point number 5, an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. If you lien somebody and send them an affidavit and you lien them and they don't respond to it, then the lien becomes truth in law in like 30 or 45 days. And you can actually turn the lien into what's called a lien security. That basically means that you can actually get loans and stuff. It becomes sort of like an accounts receivable kind of thing. It becomes a security. It becomes like a stock almost, or like a bond, and you can like sell it, and you can like, it's crazy. You can contract with the US Treasury to go and collect the lien, and then they will actually send the IRS after the person. And it's crazy. Anyways, if you want to learn more about liens, go to Chris Hauser's videos. I mean, really, Chris Hauser's the bomb anyways. Christopher Hauser YouTube. This guy right here. He's the shit. He's like the best fucking thing ever, right? I love this dude. In my opinion, he's got the best shit on the internet by far, in my opinion, right? You want to go all the way back to the beginning, the very, very first video that he ever shot. It's this one here of him in a courtroom. And then I would recommend you go each video by date sequence. A lot of my, honestly, truthfully, man, a lot of the information that I put together and a lot of the information that I'm writing about and putting in this course comes from his stuff and my understanding of his stuff. And he's such an awesome dude, such an awesome freedom fighter. So strongly recommend when you're driving around in your car or anything like that, get yourself through all of his videos all the way through to the end, which a little bit sad. He was doing Q&As like every Monday. He did one on the 7th, and now he was like sick and he had like some surgeries, and then like I don't know where he is, and other people don't know where he is, and his Facebook has been taken down, and so I don't, I'm a little bit worried about old Chris. I think he might be in some trouble. He wasn't looking so good these past few weeks, so if you can't find these videos for some reason, there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of people who have them. I even have them. Tons of people have saved these things. These videos are changing the world and have changed the world. And there's a lot of other people besides just me that have gone out and done something with this information. This is where a huge spark of all of my interest for all of this information came from. And really, really deep respect and admiration for Christopher Hauser. Such a great guy. Such a great guy. So there's that as well. And that's it. That's a beefy one, boy. Beefy. All right. I am toasted. That's for sure it for today for me. So I'll see you guys on the next video. It's like midnight. What is it? 12:14. The next one is point number 10. So this is point number 9. This is video number 9, point number 9. Epic video. Wow. This is a lot of good information here. Not too hard to follow and understand, but this one here is really gonna change some lives. So love you guys. I'll see you at the next video number 10, and sayonara.
Do you like having a P.O. box but are tired of wasting time and money driving to